Custom Power Apps Development, Use Cases, Costs, and What to Expect. Welcome back. Today's topic is Custom Power Apps Development, Use Cases, Costs, and What to Expect. We'll cover what you actually need to know about Custom Power Apps Development. Now, moving on to what can you actually build with Custom Power Apps? The short answer: anything your team does repeatedly on a screen. Power Apps is not a workaround. It's a licensed Microsoft product with enterprise-grade connectors, security, and data modeling through Dataverse. The real question is not whether it can handle your use case. The question is whether you're building it in a way that scales. Most organizations start here. Inspection checklists, incident reports, purchase requisitions, quality sign-offs. These are forms that someone fills out, submits, and waits for someone else to act on. Custom Power Apps Development turns those into mobile-capable, auditable workflows within days. A warehouse team processing 200 inbound shipments per day doesn't need a full ERP module. They need a mobile form that auto-populates from a barcode scan, flags discrepancies, and routes exceptions to a supervisor. That's a Canvas app with 3 screens and 2 Power Automate flows. Let's talk about 6 proven use cases for Custom Power Apps Development. Power Apps development services work best when there's a clear process to automate, a defined set of users, and data that already lives somewhere in your Microsoft environment. Here's where we see the most consistent ROI across project types. Field technicians need apps that work offline, capture photos, record GPS coordinates, and sync when connectivity returns. Model-driven apps backed by Dataverse handle this well. Canvas apps can work for field use too, but offline capability requires deliberate design decisions from the start. We've deployed inspection apps for utilities, construction sites, and healthcare facilities where paper clipboards were the previous standard. ROI typically becomes visible within 30 days once you account for reduced transcription time and faster exception handling. Next up, now, Power Apps Canvas versus Model-Driven Apps explained. The Power Apps Canvas versus model-driven decision comes up in almost every project scoping conversation. Getting this wrong early means rework later, often expensive rework. Canvas apps give you pixel-level control over the UI. You drag elements onto a screen, write formulas in a language similar to Excel, and connect to data sources through a point-and-click interface. They're fast to prototype and easy for business users to understand and adjust after delivery. The trade-off is scalability. Canvas apps built without a proper data architecture become slow and hard to maintain as data volumes grow. They work best for focused use cases, typically fewer than 500 concurrent users and fewer than 100,000 rows in any connected table. Push beyond that without proper Dataverse design and performance degrades fast. Next up, how Power Automate Consulting multiplies app value. Custom Power Apps development rarely stops at the app itself. The real value comes from connecting those apps into broader automated workflows. That's where Power Automate Consulting work makes the difference between a form and an actual process improvement. Power Automate workflow examples that generate measurable savings share a common pattern: they eliminate a handoff that was previously done by email. An approval request that used to sit in someone's inbox for 3 days gets routed automatically, escalated if unanswered within 24 hours, and archived when complete. Examples that work consistently across industries. Next up, let's talk about Power Platform governance before Shadow IT takes hold. This is the section most vendors skip in their sales pitch. Power Platform lowers the barrier to building apps, which is its primary value. But that same accessibility creates a governance problem if you don't set the rules before adoption grows across the organization. Power Platform governance prevents shadow IT through DLP policies, environment strategies, and approval workflows. Without these controls, business users build apps that connect sensitive HR data to personal storage accounts, or finance teams create flows that pull from production SQL without IT's knowledge. Data loss prevention policies and Power Platform control which connectors can be used together in a single app or flow. You classify connectors as business or non-business and block mixing them. A properly configured DLP policy stops a user from building a flow that exports Dynamics 365 customer records to a personal Gmail account. Now, let's talk about what custom Power Apps development costs in 2026. The honest answer is that costs vary significantly based on complexity, integration requirements, and whether you're building one app or a coordinated suite. Here's a practical breakdown based on what we see across mid-market and enterprise projects. These ranges assume a mid-size organization, standard Microsoft 365 licensing already in place, and reasonable access to subject matter experts during the build. If your data is scattered or locked in legacy systems, expect the dataverse consulting work alone to add 20 to 40% to your estimate. Power by consulting services are often scoped alongside apps because the same dataverse data model that powers your apps also feeds your reporting. Power by dashboard development done in parallel with app development is typically cheaper than scoping them as separate engagements. Now, moving on to Power Platform Center of Excellence setup. A Power Platform Center of Excellence is a governance structure, not a dedicated physical team. It's the combination of policies, tools, training, and oversight that allows an organization to scale Power Platform adoption without losing control of what's being built across the tenant. Q Services implements Power Platform Center of Excellence using Microsoft's COE Toolkit as a foundation. The toolkit provides pre-built apps and dashboards for tracking app inventory, usage analytics, compliance status, and maker activity across the entire tenant. The Microsoft COE Starter Kit is a free set of apps, flows, and dashboards that gives IT full visibility into Power Platform activity. It includes 4 main components. Now, moving on to what to expect from a Power Platform development company. Working with a Power Platform development company is different from working with a general software agency. The engagement should start with a discovery phase covering your existing Microsoft 365 setup, your data model, your licensing posture, and whether governance is already in place. If a vendor skips straight to wireframes without asking about your environment strategy or DLP configuration, that's a sign they're selling a project rather than solving a problem. Apps built without that context create issues 6 months post-launch that often cost more to fix than the original build. A solid delivery process for Power Apps development services looks like this. Let's talk about conclusion. Custom Power Apps development works when it's planned properly, the right app type for the use case, a data model that scales, Power Platform governance in place before adoption grows, and Power Platform ALM processes that keep things running after handoff. Without those pieces, even well-built apps become maintenance problems within 12 to 18 months. The organizations that get the most from the platform treat custom Power Apps development as a strategic investment, not a one-off request. That means standing up a center of excellence, running citizen developer governance with clear guardrails, and building an ALM discipline that outlasts any single vendor engagement. If you're evaluating Power Apps development services for your organization, the fastest path to a real cost and timeline is a scoping session focused on your specific process, your data, and your Microsoft licensing situation. Q Services has delivered Power Platform projects across healthcare, logistics, finance, and technology sectors with results you can verify before signing anything.